folks, and welcome to Subjective Thoughts. And our comic for today is Batman: The Adventures Continue, Issue 6 by DC. Now, there is violence, fighting, beating, blood, explosions, attempted murder, fire, and more violence in this one, so if you are in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Alright, here's the team. So, when we left off in issue 6, Bruce has went to confront Jason in the bar that they've met in all those years ago. And Jason told him, you're trying to save me and all that. And that, he's not there for that anyway. And then he shoots his gun and the bar blows up. Batman gets out of there and then he sees Jason going away at a fire escape. Fire escape stairs, yeah. And then Batman ominously said that he's going to taunt them and he's going to continue until he kills them, or Batman's gonna kill him. Ooh. Now, we start issue 6 with a little girl in the office of Dr. Tompkins. I don't remember, I think she was in the animated series, maybe. I don't know if she was in comics. I'm not sure. She's this old doctor lady, and she knows Batman's real identity. I think she might have helped patch him up as well multiple times. But this little girl's there. She got a cut on her arm. The doctor has treated it and tells her that she needs a tetanus shot. Tetanus? Or tetanus? I'm not sure. And then the little girl gasps and looks, because behind the doctor, Batman appears. The doctor turns around and tells her, don't worry, dear, this is Batman, he's not going to hurt you. And the little girl says, I know, it's Batman, he would never hurt a kid. And then Dr. Tompkins and Batman look at each other, and I kind of wonder if they're thinking of Jason Todd at that moment. Then the doctor gives her the shot. The little girl's like, ooh, Batman. And then she leaves and she says to herself, I know Batman. Batman tells her, stay out of harm, be careful. Now, once she's gone, the doctor says a bit bitterly, and I would say, it's funny him telling a kid to be careful and stay out of danger. And she's referring to his Robins. And she wants Bruce to leave, and he tells her that, I forgot what's her first name, but he tells her Dr. Tompkins Jason is back. He's alive. She's like, no. Also not believing. And he says, yes, I just want you to be careful. I know he liked you. And we see a flashback to her treating Jason and how she tells him, you got more wounds and bruises in 2 weeks than Dick Grayson got in 2 years. Because, as we already learned, at least in this version, Jason Todd's much more reckless and, in this case, very fucking violent. So, then, he talks to the doctor again. She's very upset. She's telling, Bruce, this was all our faults. We all took care of him. We all worried about him. And now, look what happened. And she's like, please just go away. And she tells him, I'm sorry, Bruce. I didn't mean to lash out at you. It's just, maybe it's time that you put Batman to rest. Look, all that it's cost you. She does have a point there. But anyway, Batman leaves the clinic and goes outside. We then go back to Alfred and Tim, and he continues to tell him the story about Jason. Just a second. Yeah, keeps telling him the story. Telling him how it would, however, not be the last time that they would see Jason. 1 second. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, how later on in later weeks, as Batman was looking for him, Jason was running all around and beating the shit out of criminals. Even like ones, like the only ones he wouldn't completely beat to a pulp were the ones that couldn't find him anymore. Like he arrests some robbers, and there's one like standing, not even doing anything to him, and he beats him up. And we see the same trend, like he had fights Man-Bat, shooting a grappling ring through his wing, throwing the Penguin out of a helicopter, like holy shit. Then another villain, I don't remember who, but he takes the handle of a clock and shoves it in his, basically very close to his heart, I think. Holy shit. I mean, I wonder if the Penguin's alive, but like, fuck me. Then he goes and, to stop Killer Croc from stealing some Navy, weaponry. And, Jason shoots him, and then the next day they find him. Now, luckily, the salt water, in the bag, acted as a blam on his wounds. So he was alive, but all of him doing this, like, no one knows that he no longer works with Batman, so it's doing bad damage to Batman's reputation and thus to the GCPD, right? Yeah, to Gordon, to the police as well. They need to do something. And they have to stop him, and Batsy knows that, but regardless, he keeps trying to look for him, but it looks like Jason's always one step ahead of him. So then, it seems like it's time to enlist some help. So Batman goes to this, like, luckless, low-life crook called Sid something.
What are you supposed to be, a disappointment?
And he tells him, he grabs him and, hangs him upside down and tells him, where is he? Because this guy's like a squid. Sid the Squid, there we go. This guy's tentacles and everything. And so, hello, Doyle. This guy's tentacles and everything. And, he's pressing him for information. He holds him by the tie, and then Sid's like, I don't know. And he lets it go. Sid's dangling, and he's like, wait, I heard this rumor. That he wants to, I don't know, wait, sorry. I'm a bit too ahead there. That happens a little bit later. Wait. Yeah, sorry, that happens a little bit late. No, I was right. Yeah, okay, there we go. We heard this rumor about, the word on the street that is, there we go. His next target is the Joker. That was it. That's all he knows. But he doesn't know where Jason is. So then we go to the Joker and Harley. Alfred says that at the time, it tells Tim that at the time, there was this like public breakup of Harley and Joker. They were on a date at the same amusement park, actually, that the Joker resides in when Jason gets canvassing for information about him. And Harley's very dissatisfied with the date, and Joker wins her a monkey, a stuffed monkey, and she throws it, and she's upset, and she goes and gets a bulldozer, on those moving ones, and rides at Joker, and like, that's it, I want to break up. And she follows him all the way to the pier, and he, goes sleep with the fishes. And then she goes around destroying all the places they used to go on dates in. Shops, and you see Jason following her in the daytime, and then she goes to destroy their favorite restaurant. But Jason beats her there, and he hits her, and she said, "Oh, back off, Boy Scout." And he tells her, "You must have not been following the news. I'm a bad boy now, your type." And he hits her, he slaps her, and he grabs her, like, "Tell me where the Joker is, and I'll only send you to the emergency room." And so she's like, "Well, how can I refuse a deal like that?" But then the Joker comes up behind him and electrocutes him. So all of this was basically a trap to lure Jason in. Make him think like, Harley and the Joker are broken up and all that. Well, that's it. It was a trap, and Joker, even brings her flowers, but then he throws them on Jason's chest, saying, "Well, doesn't he look pretty?" And so, but then, before we continue, Alfred says, as in the next part is quite violent, as Alfred says, because he doesn't continue, because Tim says that can't be the end. No, this next part was later obtained from a confession by Miss Quinn. It's not pleasant, and Dick's like, "Go on." Tim's like, "Go on." So we get back to the Joker. He has Jason strapped to this table, sort of. They're inside, I think, the same amusement park, maybe. And he's there, and the Joker and Harley are giving him a diagnosis. Harley's in a doctor's lab coat and glasses, and I'd say the patient is very, aggressive, probably due to the raising in his family. He's got very violent tendencies. And Joker's like, yes, I know the father. I think we need a treatment here. And then they kind of go with the same scene that was in Death in the Family, except here it's different. But he takes a crowbar and starts hitting Jason, hitting him really fucking hard. And the Joker, or not the Joker, Harley, she's like, wait, because she thought they were gonna just rough him up but not kill him. She's like, wait, I thought we were gonna rough him up. And the Joker's like, "What'd you think? We're just gonna give him a love tap and let him go?" And she's trying to stop him, and he tells the two goons that are with them to take her away. She's like, "Get your filthy hands off of me." And then they drag her out, and Batman's right there on the roof of this, it's a warehouse. It's a warehouse on the port. And he jumps down, and Harley Quinn actually offered to help him and save Jason, but as Alfred says, he wisely just cuffed her and left her there after kicking the two goons. And I find that funny, because, hasn't Harley Quinn helped the Joker in many other, things that he's done? So quite a lot of people have died from that, too, so her being against this is kind of funny. I think, she wouldn't really... Well, and maybe, though, it helps her that, if they throw bombs at people or the laughing gas, so it's kind of it's damage that she can't see. But here, it's right in front of her, Jason's being beaten to a pulp. But anyway, Batman goes in, Jason's already quite close to death, it would seem. And, Batman steps into basically his worst nightmare. And he's like, "No," and stay away from him. And then Joker says, "Shoot at him. There's helium in those cars and not hydrogen, and that's not inflammable." Or is it the other way around? I also now forgot. But they shoot, and of course a fire starts. Boom, explosions, Plan B, get to the car. But that also explodes, and he's knocked, and the car falls on the Joker. I don't know where the two goons are. Maybe they died. But Batman runs over to Jason. He holds him, and he's like, Bruce, that's it. I'm beaten. I feel like I'm dying. Please, when it was just me and my brother, we were brother for brother. So when he was killed by that gang, I had to take revenge. And he pulls the crowbar that he's been beaten with towards him and says, like, Bruce, do this for me, kill him for me. And Bruce is like, Jason, you know why we can't do that? You can't become like him. And Jason's like, you won't become like him, just do it. And then he gives him the crowbar, and Batman stands up and goes, but what he does with the crowbar, he shoves it into the car that's on top of Joker and removes it. And then Jason yells, no, no. And even though he's beaten, he gets up and I won't let you save him. I won't allow it. And he takes there are more, I think, helium maybe? I think more helium balloons and tanks in there or something. Or whatever it was that's inflammable, and he takes it and he throws them, and Bruce is like, Jason, no, but then there's an explosion. He runs out with Joker, throws them on the ground and runs back in, but all he finds is a piece of Jason's costume. And then Alfred says how, he looked through all the rubble until his hands bled, and how for weeks later he would look for Jason. And, he would go back to that place for weeks trying to find a clue to Jason's whereabouts, basically. And now he wasn't really succeeded. Well, he hasn't found anything, obviously. So that was that. He looked and nothing. It seems like they have lost Jason. At least so it seemed at the time. 1 second. Look here. Okay, yeah. You return to the scene. And then Tim's like, well, what about me? I'm so similar to Tim. I'm so similar to Dick Grayson, to Jason Todd. And he's like, well, yes. What does it mean for me? And Alfred's like, yes, you do have similarities. And you're not, because Tim thinks that he's Batman's do-over because of what happened with Jason. That's why he got him. And Alfred's like, no, he always had this, has always felt kinship with those who have suffered tragedy and fought back. So though there are similarities, it's not the reason that Tim Drake is there. Actually, in the older comics, the story's much more cool. And then they hear he's right, Tim. Jason was my biggest mistake. I won't let that happen. I'll never let that happen again, not to you. And then he said, I promise. But then Tim says, as he's about to shake Batman's hand, I'd be a sorry excuse for a Robin to fall for this crap. And he grabs Batman's hand and flips him because it's not Batman. It's Jason Todd. Somewhere he got a bat suit, and he's there. He's like, what sharp kid? What gave it away? And Jason, and Tim's like, Batman never apologizes. And Jason's like, you're right there, kid. And then Alfred yells, get away from him. He's got this thing that shoots out those ropes that tangle you, but he misses, and then Jason hits him with the batarang, and then Tim starts to jump at him to fight him, and Jason says, very good, kid, but like I said when I first saw you, anger is a good motivator. but it can also easily be used against you. So here's a free lesson for you. Not that you'll get a chance to use it. He hits Tim, and then he grabs his costume, his Robin costume, and he drags him out of the Batcave. And we see Alfred like laying on the ground. And that's it. That's where that one ends. Okay. Also, before that, he's like, what gave it away? The lack of a Batmobile. And he's like, no. Now that you'll have a chance to use it. And then the next one is How to Kill a Robin. Ooh. The first cover, so this is Batsy and Jason. Basically, I'm pretty certain this is Jason on the cover. No, I mean, it's fine. It's got Batsy, it's got him. I don't know by who this one is. This is the A cover, but you see the art is by someone else. I'm not sure who. I mean, it's okay. I got not much to say about it. Okay, now for the art. There's a little girl. There's Dr. Tompkins. For some reason, I don't know. It feels like the square here with the names looks a little too small, I'd say. But at least I feel like maybe they add more names to include, though. You see, there's Dr. Tompkins. Oops, sorry. There's her remembering when she would treat Jason. And how indeed he was much more violent than the other Robins. Well, at that point, only Dick Grayson. Okay. Now for the story. Okay. Let me move that back a bit. That's fine. So, it seems like indeed what Jason is planning is to effectively hurt the Bat family. I mean, now it's basically confirmed, him going, hitting Alfred. Maybe he does still have some affection for him since he didn't outright kill him. And as we see, he has taken Tim and... Sorry for the movement. And who knows what he's going to do to him. I imagine it's not going to be good, though. Jason, at least this version's full of a lot of anger. And, again, mad that Batman wouldn't kill the Joker, like, eye for an eye. And that now, I think he's probably gonna... I still think he might want to kill the whole family. Maybe that's his plan, and just picking them off one by one. Although you imagine again that he would kill Alfred, but he left him alone, mostly. But yeah, I don't imagine that whatever he has planned for Tim is good. I hope that Tim is going to survive this one. But that does beg the question on what's going to be the issue after, because there's just 2 more left. Granted, maybe it won't conclude in the next one. But that is left to be seen. I'm looking forward to find out. But I have to also say, I get it that Jason got fucked in the head after the whole Lazarus Pit. Although, I don't think here it's the Lazarus Pit. Also, I wonder how the hell he even escaped that explosion. Although, as Batman runs out, or leaves with the Joker, actually... After looking to see if Jason's there, you see fuck. What's it called? I remember the word in Hebrew, but fuck. What's the word? God damn it. Wait, let me look that up in real time. Wait, sorry. Okay, yeah, but not like balloon, but, I guess hot air balloon, probably. I thought it had a hot air balloon. You see, is flying away from the fire. So I wonder if Jason just got into it and flew away. Shocking that none of the fire reached that one. That would have burned easily, I imagine. But yeah, and as I was saying before, I much prefer the old version of Jason, and what happened to him. He still didn't listen to Batman, but in this version, he's effectively like an asshole. Well, yeah, he was reckless and angry, in the deaths in the family. He was being very reckless, but he wasn't this little asshole, basically, that he isn't here. I don't know, I'm not feeling, and don't get me wrong, I like the rebellious part of the Robins, but he's in a level that's just almost a little too cartoonish. Like, to understand, of course, what happened to him is horrible, with, his brother dying because of that result of the gang activity, but still, just how he is in general is really, nasty. And how violent he is as well towards all of these criminals. And I'm hearing he talking, that's my grandma. I think she's there talking to Doyle. Yeah, so if you hear, yeah, and then, I don't know, I'm not feeling this Jason Todd, I must say. Again, I haven't really read much of him as Robin, and personally, I like the Tim Drake Robin. I like the beginning of him in the old stories, how he's basically a really good detective. Even before he joined with Batman, he figured out who Batman is, actually followed everything, and he went to find Dick Grayson in order to help Batman. I mean, that's some talent right there. So yeah, I'm not, but other than that, I am enjoying the story. Now, obviously, these are different versions for what was in the animated series. And still, the story so far is going very interesting. You have all these other events, but the main one here is Jason Todd coming back and wanting revenge on Batman. But it's left to be seen what he's going to do and how it's going to conclude. But will it conclude? I imagine it would have to in issue 8. I don't know if later on there was more, because like I said, I remember that at first this was supposed to have 12 issues, but later I've only received 8. So who knows? Maybe they just move those for the next series. I don't know. At this point, there's no need to really wonder, because it's been 5 years already. Oh, alright folks, so that is it. Let me know what you thought of issue 6 of Batman The Adventures Continue. And remember, collect what you're passionate about and share it on YouTube. Bye!